Hi guys, this is Judith Peterson, your certified law of attraction life coach. Thank you so much for tuning back in. So today's a very special day for me because I don't have one guest, but I have three amazing guests. So I'm going to start with Agnes. So Agnes Vivarelli, she is a YouTuber, a life coach, and an author. Thank you for coming. Agnes, welcome.
Thank you, Judith. It's lovely to be here with you again.
Yes, awesome. And Kim Velez, welcome. She's a life and success coach. You can find her on YouTube. She makes amazing videos too. Thank you for coming on, Kim.
Thank you. I'm really excited.
Yay! And Armine Chitjian. Most of you know her as Manifest with Armine, and she is also a law of attraction consultant. Thank you for coming on.
Hi guys, thank you so much, Judith, for doing this. So much fun already, as usual.
Yes. Oh yeah. So Armine and I have been making videos, and we've been going on many rants together. So guys, thank you so much for coming on. I really wanted to chat with all of you today about law of attraction techniques. And I know all of you have your own way of explaining and your own way of sharing. And I thought it could be fun to come together and share our experiences and our tips and tricks about all the beautiful techniques that we have learned and taught over the years. So yeah, let's just dive in. So Agnes, let's kick off with you. What is your favorite law of attraction technique?
I would say it's really looking at living in the end, which comes from Neville Goddard. That would be my first favorite technique. Mm-hmm. In saying that, I think living in the end needs to be combined with a very strong focus on self-love. Mm. Because I do see when I work with people are doing living in the end, but often doing it from a place of trying to get. Now, I think you need to put a very strong foundation of self-love underneath any law of attraction techniques you do. Otherwise, you're just trying to get something from somebody else to make you feel better. Or you're trying to get more money to make you feel better, or more this or more that. So I think if you do the self-love and then the living in the end pasted on top, that means you've got a very strong focus on the desire, having it, enjoying it. But you've got the other half of the nut, which is vital, which is you don't need to get from the outside. You are doing it for pure enjoyment. Right. So they would be, I'd say, my top two.
Love it. Great explanation. That's why I love that. Self-love is the foundation. That's basically what you're saying. Yeah, I agree with that. So what about you, Kim?
Well, I agree with Agnes, and one of the things it's very similar to living in the end is I love to embody who I want to become, and I love practicing how that woman feels, how she thinks, what her belief system is, and I just try to tap into her as much as possible because it feels good and it's like super addicting to feel happy and content and like appreciative all day long. So why not? Better than feeling miserable. And eventually one day I wake up and I am actually her. And my, 3D world is reflecting back to me who I have shifted into, that I've been practicing embodying for quite a while. Mm-hmm. So it's very similar to living in the end and the self-love and all that. It's just feeling who you want to be. Yes. And then it just all comes in.
Yes. I like that. And what about you, Armine?
I'm not going to surprise you with a totally different answer here. I think we're kind of mostly on the same page. Yeah, I'm a Neville girl myself too. So, I mean, the best, and the funny thing is, like, is it even a technique? Once you do it so often, it just, it just becomes like second nature. So yeah, my favorite thing to just, do is to think, I guess maybe I would phrase it in the more I ams, because like, it soothes me in the moments where I need soothing in any way, whether it be just like if I'm a tiny bit aggravated, or if I just want to fall asleep feeling extra good, I just use fall asleep using my I ams, and they are a mix of I ams. Sometimes there are things that I already have expressed that I am, I already know that I am and feel that I am. Some are things I'm exploring of what it would be like if I am this, I am that, things that I want. And I just jumble them all together until they all feel natural. and I just drop it.
Yeah, I really like that. So, because when I experience, because, Neville talked a lot about living in the end, and Esther Hicks talks a lot about acting as if. I think it's a very, like the old story versus the new story, I think it's very similar. But what I realized at some point is that this was years ago, and I had this idea of becoming, this entrepreneur and a financially abundant woman. But I had a certain image of what that woman would look like, but she didn't look like me, right? Yeah. So because she would carry a certain type of bag and she would wear a certain type of clothes. So I had to get really, really clear on what that meant to me first.
Yes.
In order to be able to embody that woman. Has any of you ever experienced that? Like, this is the image that I have, what it should be like, but I don't really feel that that's me. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. If I can just say something real quick. Yeah, I think that I think this is how, I think pretty much all of us in this virtual room are pretty experienced in this, in this creating reality thing, so even us, we have those moments where we have to remind ourselves that, the point is to embody this new man, right? It's to actually feel through this new person. Mm-hmm. And if we create him as like something on the outside of us that we can't really identify with or don't feel like we deserve, yeah, then it's not going to work for us, probably going to work against us. So yeah, it's just the more familiar that being that we're creating that we want to be, if we draw them with a handbag that we don't see ourselves ever carrying, then just leave the handbag out of the picture, Yeah. So
yeah, I noticed that I had this strong ideas of what it had to look like, and I had to kind of let go of all of that and create something that would actually work for me. And that just, back to self-love is like, I can be my version of abundant, I can be my version of successful, I can have my version of an amazing career that's meaningful to me, right? Yeah. So yeah, I think so. So Agnes, I know you're very big on self-love, and you talk a lot about it on your channel. So what I see a lot, and I think all of you see it a lot, is especially with women that struggle, accepting themselves, loving themselves through all phases of lives, not just when they're young and looking hot, but also going through the process of, getting a little bit older, some of us having kids, some not having kids, getting gray hair and all that stuff. So where do you think, for somebody that's really, really struggling, where do you think you start? I mean, I know it's self-love, but some hands-on guidance, what would you recommend?
I think it's starting with really the basics of physical self-love. So it's looking at how you disrespect yourself in terms of your habits, through addictions, through lack of sleep, lack of eating properly, and having issues with your weight. I think it's really looking at all that physical level first, because I see a lot of people coming and saying, oh, I'm trying to manifest this and I'm trying to do these techniques, but I'm exhausted. Well, you can't manifest anything if you're exhausted, except for stuff you don't want, because when you're exhausted, you're negative, and you can't get a positive state of mind when you're exhausted. It just goes against. You've got to deal with what the body needs first. So it's really dealing with that stuff first, and exercise and drinking water. You've got to attend to that level first. Then you go to the next level, which is your mental fitness. And that's dealing with, as Neville says, the mental diet. You have to look at what you're putting in, and that kind of sprouts into a few different directions. You look at meditation. You got to calm the mind, and you've got to start directing it towards wanted things. And then repetition with affirmations, and affirmations for self-love, I think, are important. And then affirmations towards those desires that you want. So if you want a relationship affirmations, or more money affirmations, or whatever subject. But I still think 75% self-love, leaning that way, and 25% other subjects. Because I do see, if you don't have that basic energetic projection of I am loved, and you're trying to do 75% towards your desire, but underneath is all this neediness and anxiety and worry or anger or frustration, or all of that will underpin a lot of the work that you do. So you can't ice a rotten cake. You got to have the foundation in place. Mm-hmm. and get out of I got to get mode, and get mode is an epidemic. It honestly, I never thought I'd say that, but working with people all over the world, it doesn't matter what country people are from, this whole get consciousness is a disaster. It really is a disaster. And this full-on thing of dissatisfaction with my life, I'm sure, many of you will be working with people, but I think that the whole vibration of dissatisfaction is the issue.
Yeah. So Kim, what's your take on that? Because you have a long history of working in mental health. So, and you've transitioned to life and success coaching. So what's your take on that?
No, I agree. I mean, it's always somebody seeking something external to validate them and, justify their self-worth. And we've really been conditioned and trained to really operate that way as like a human species for a really, really long time. And I know in my own personal journey, that was the key for me, that to understand that I have everything within. And I don't need to have a man or a certain house or a car, or even the clients that I work with. I know a lot of people that they get their soul validation from working with their clients, and because they're not connected to themselves. So I agree with Agnes 1,000% that self-love is so key, that once you understand that, then you can, because when I first start working with people, you get them in the back door sometimes with like the specific person or the money or the car they want to manifest. But it's really about, and Abraham Hicks does this very, very well, about you getting okay with you. Because all of that, we bring that in, the life reflects that back to us, and it shows up, we manifest it once we're connected to ourselves and understanding that we don't need this external thing to make us feel good, that we can create that over and over and over again. And that's like the underpinnings for me, because this is what I practice every day, which is why I'm like this all the time, like high energy. And I have my moments, but I rebound fast and I practice what I preach over and over again. And I get everything that I want. That I'm not like focused on when it's going to happen. I mean, I'm human. I do that sometimes too, but I just work on me and loving myself and feeling good, because I had plenty of years where I felt like shit and my mind just was very negative, and I was always looking for something out there to make me feel better.
Yeah. Armine, did you want to say something?
I'm just agreeing in my mind, just like so much of what Kim is saying, what Agnes said is just like on the point. I mean, there's no way, just like Kim was saying that, they come through the back door with the specific person issue or some other issue, but when it comes down to it, it's, do you, like Abraham says, are you putting your priority as how you feel? Because like Agnes said, if you don't have that self-love, then you're not going to put the way you feel as a first priority, right? So it goes back to self-love, yes, but it just comes down to like prioritizing yourself, doesn't it? Like, wait, like, is this worth me feeling bad right now? No, I don't want to feel bad right now. So then I'm just not gonna choose to feel this way or see this way. And that's what I was thinking while I was nodding and nodding.
Yes.
Go on. Sorry.
No. I was just curious if you wanted to say something about that. I was curious if you wanted to say something about that, but I agree. It's like exactly that. It's like it always comes back to the same thing. It's like, how are you spending time with yourself? How are you loving yourself? How are you respecting yourself? How are you treating yourself? And it's all like, it's like a house of cards, right? Like you can build a house. So talking about scripting, because I know Kim is a big scripter and so am I. I love to script. This has really been one of my, this is one of my foundations. I love to script. I like to script in the morning. I try to script before my kids wake up and before going to bed, and really, get my thoughts and my emotions in the right direction. So, Armine, do you script?
I have scripted. Odd thing is that, like, for me, scripting when I've done it, I wasn't in the place to do it because I felt like either I should be doing it or I just wasn't on that right frequency. So that's why I think I don't really turn to it. I know it's effective when you do it the proper way, right?
Yeah.
And I have done it successfully. I think maybe I'm lazy. I mean, lazy, like, hey, I'm okay with that. Like, in that sense of like, when I'm feeling something in the moment, I can run with it in my mind, and I don't really want to, you know, get up to get paper and pen. But in that same way that I look forward to, you know, maybe laying down and feeling those feelings, others, obviously, like you guys, like you really enjoy, like look forward to getting that paper and notepad or pen and just sitting down and living that moment that way. So I think it's a matter of preference. I still do it sometimes, but I think maybe I just have a personal association that I haven't cleared yet with me writing it down and it just not being for me. You know what I mean?
Right. Oh yeah. Right.
Which I could easily change if I don't want to.
Yeah,
I just haven't.
but that is not your
I haven't gotten there. Yeah.
No, but I think that's fine. It's all about doing something, having a spiritual practice that works for you.
So,
I think that
so many people I work with love scripting, and I go, you know, when they're willing to share their, you know, their journaling and their scripting, when they show me, I love working on it with them because I know that they're feeling about it the way you feel about it. So it's exciting for them in that sense. And when they share that with me, it's so exciting to me because I can so easily see where they're vibrating on a certain subject and how they can tweak things to make things so much more show up so much quicker. So I think it's more that I do love the scripting. I love it when I'm seeing other people do it. Yeah. That's exactly what I want. That's the right way I wanted to say it. That pins it.
Okay.
For
and
me,
what about you, Agnes? Do you like to script like for yourself? I'm not so much like taking your client through this process, but about yourself?
Yeah, I do. I think it's such a great living in the end exercise. So, you know, I spend about, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes writing it the first time, and it might be on a couple of subjects. And then I will put it in my bedside table and I'll read it maybe once, maybe twice before I go to bed. I'll do that for a couple of weeks and then I'll just leave it and put it away. And then I might not look at it for 2 months and then I'll go, hey, I wonder if that's still in there. Let me read it again. But it's kind of a pre-imaginal scene thing that I like to do because as I read it, it puts me into that's right, that's the wanted. That's I find it gives me that relief as I read it. And then when I go in to do an imaginal scene, my mind is already very focused on what I read. So I can go into silent imaginal scenes from the script. I personally love it.
Yeah, me too. So just to understand, do you write like a scene that you want to manifest, or like is it a whole experience? Because what I do, I think it's kind of pre-paved scripting, I guess, because I like to write also about the next day. So before I go to bed, like, I'm doing this and this and this the next day, or when there's like something bigger going on. So how does that work for you?
It's really simple. I just write, I'm happy and grateful now that I now, and then I just go into whatever it is. I'm on a plane going to such and such. My relatives are waiting for me. We enjoy eating such and such at that fantastic restaurant. And I just go through the mechanics of it. And it's usually I'm highly visual. It's my strongest of the 5 senses. So my script is very visual orientated.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. And Kim, what about you? Because I know you're like a pro scripter. You love the script so much. Like
I don't know pro, but no, I mean, I love it because I love to be in my imagination and just, you know, have this whole life in my head all the time. But it really helps me when I'm writing, because I have a very overactive mind. I have a lot of anxiety in my life, which I've worked on. But it's a tool that I love to use when I need to quiet it and I need to get it disciplined and refocused on something feeling good when I'm not able to maybe, you know, slow down the momentum if it's already going just by, you know, closing my eyes or going up in my head. So I really use it as a tool to kind of focus and just get me out of whatever negative state that my brain is trying to take me into. So I feel better. But I love it. I love it because I change it all the time. And then I like to go back and reread, and it just gets me in that mood. I do it every morning. I have like 5 notebooks, papers ripped out. I mean, it's a mess. And I just read like what makes me feel good. And some days I just want to do general because I can't deal with specifics of something. Yeah. Just to kind of help with that resistance. But it's fun. It's cool too to see it, you know, because it's like we know when we're intentionally manifesting and the manifestation appears and you're like, oh yeah, I've been doing this, but to actually see it like written out is, I don't know, it's kind of cool, you know?
Yes, it's amazing to read it back.
Yeah, I totally see how that would be awesome. Like, and I kind of feel like I miss out on that because I don't even at least like list the things that I want to manifest, because I'm just like all in my head, you know? Yeah. And so, and especially like when we're teaching on YouTube and stuff, it's so much, you know, more, you know, exciting, I guess, for people to hear that every single thing we've manifested. Like, I mean, not every single thing, but it's awesome to share those things. And sometimes I can't even remember them, but that's so great that, yes, when you do write it down that way, while you're scripting, you can totally like just say, okay, yeah, this definitely happened, and you can't just forget it. So that's awesome.
But it really helped me with that, because I remember that before I would like kind of go over the details, and you know, I would kind of keep thinking about it, but I didn't realize it was kind of, I was pushing and pulling. I started pushing and pulling a little bit. And what I noticed, what I felt very strongly is like when I write, I close it, like I physically close it and it's done. I don't need to touch it anymore.
That's the secret sauce. That's the secret sauce though, because you do that. And Yes said also that she might close it and not look at it for 2 months. That's the awesome. And of course, not to say that if you do it every day, I mean, that's super effective. If you're writing it knowing that this is actually creating and you're enjoying it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the main question I get about journaling from other people is, how often should I do it? You know? And I think that's when it comes down to, well, how often are you enjoying it? You know, how often are you delighting in it?
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing with action versus inspired action. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, I totally agree with that, because I think people are always looking like, if I do X, Y, and Z, will this happen? And it's like, you don't do it because it's like, you have to do it like a daily ritual and you just have to do it and you hate it most days, right? If we're forced to do something, it's, does it feel good? Is it helping me with getting out of a negative space into a more space that feels better? Like that's, to me, that's the whole purpose of it, is just shifting how I feel. So if it's something that's making you feel resistance or efforting, then why are you doing it? It's not going to work.
Yeah, because people often rely on instructions, because these are educated. A lot of people we work with are very educated and they're very, you know, intellectual, and they find comfort in that, of being told exactly how to do something, and they'll do it well. But this isn't that kind of thing. This is about teaching them to do it intuitively and to know from inside. But
that's very interesting, because it's a lot of people that are, like you said, very intellectual. They're very like, okay, but I need a formula, I need a structure to do that, and it's all about like feeling and easing your way into it, right?
Letting yourself feel. And letting yourself admit, am I enjoying this or not? Because as grown-ups, we're kind of taught, hey, it doesn't matter if you enjoy this or not, you got to do it. This is what you got to do, and this is what you don't do.
Yeah. This is really funny, because I did the video. I told all of you about the love letters that I wrote to my husband before I met him, and I did a video on that. And then somebody sent me a message, and it's like, so I gave some instructions, and she was like, yeah, but now how do I write the letter? And I was like, it's like, it's not your love letter to me, it's the love letter to your soulmate. You tell your soulmate about your love story. But I think a lot of people struggle with that. It's kind of helping them release those layers and connecting back to, feeling and intuition and all that juicy stuff.
Yeah, getting reconnected. Because I think it's just reinforces what all you ladies are saying, and Agnes was saying in the beginning about they're trying to like get from here to over there, and if I just get this, I'll feel better, tell me how to do it, you know, step by step. And it's like, no, it's a process of reconnecting to who your highest good is, who your true self is, and really feel who that person is, and love that person, and connect to that. And they just want to get, you know, whatever's they're trying to manifest to make them feel better. Yeah, and that's wrong.
Bad. No, just kidding, guys. Just kidding. No judgment. This is.
Oh my God, you're gonna get so many negative comments now.
No, we don't get negative comments.
We only get loving comments. Actually, recently somebody asked like how they could marry Armine, and remember that somebody was like, "So how do I marry a woman like the two of you?" I was like, "Okay."
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. Don't tell my husband someone wrote that, please.
That is funny. So there's another thing. Well, I mean, I like, I'm very much into vision boarding. And my guess is that Agnes does too, because she just mentioned that she's extremely visual. Do you vision board, Agnes?
Yeah, I usually do a vision board on the first day of the year. And then it's the thing that I look at. I think the last really effective vision board I did that jumps out is the one where I had the red phone booths and the red buses and London and I had Sydney, London, south of France on the vision board in a triangle.
I love the triangle story. Can you share it? Because I'm not sure if Armine and Kim know this story. I love the story.
I don't.
Yeah, the triangle story was I was trying to work out the mechanics of a very simple imaginal scene to travel and work, and I didn't want to be in one place anymore. And at that time I had a job and I was confined and restricted because of the job as to when I could go on holidays and when I could be there or not be there. And I didn't like that restriction. So I thought, okay, how can I create an imaginal scene where I can see my family in the south of France, the man that I really loved in London, and also still be in Sydney with my mum and my friends. So I drew, this was part of a vision board, but it was also a separate exercise. I just drew a black triangle on a white piece of paper and I put London, Sydney, south of France. And I drew a little cartoon plane because I'd started doing the imaginal scene as I'm in France, imagining all the scenes there and the people, then being in London, imagining my partner, and it was getting way too complicated. And it was tiring with all that detail. So I thought, how can I tighten this up and make it really simple? So I came up with the triangle idea. And I would imagine the plane flying between those three places. And that came true.